I hate to break the fishing news up, Yaremchuk, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, Yaremchuk.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Episode 236 of the Real Life Podcast. Hello, I'm Tyler Yaremchuk, joined by Bag Milk, Wanye, and Jay. No Chalmers, but I'm holding out hope. It's a Thursday. We talk football betting on Thursdays. Chalmers usually doesn't like to miss those, so I'm predicting we record this at the top of the hour. I'm predicting that by about the bottom of the hour, which would be 1:30, that Chalmers will be on the podcast. As always, podcast brought to you by Oodle Noodle. We will have a fresh Oodle Noodle listener profile to give you in a second, where someone will tell us their Oodle Noodle order, which is great stuff. I love these. We've gotten so much response on these listener profiles as well. So I'm excited to start sharing a few of them, one every episode. So you're in the queue. If you DM'd me and you gave the answers back, you might not hear yours for a couple weeks because we have a lot of them, but you're in the queue. That brought to you by Oodle Noodle.
Did anybody lead with a number from 1 to 10?
I'm ashamed to say how many people led with a number.
Oh, you dirty bird. You dirty bird. What are the numbers coming in?
I think the one I remember, someone was like, usually I'm at around a 2.5 consistently, but when I listen to the podcast, it's usually a 7.
Yeah, a hard 7.
I want to point something out. Jay, you're having a popsicle right now.
Yes, I'm enjoying out of necessity. So Little Brick is a very interesting setup. The whole house essentially runs off of one thermostat that's in the cafe, and the door is always either staying open so people can enter and leave the cafe safely. So the thermostat thinks it's cold in the house because of that. So then it's just pumping heat 24/7 into the office I sit in. Plus the window, this crazy old latch system is busted. So I can't open the window.
You got to do my hybrid move, like your Yaremchuk was telling us earlier, the old engineer trick. You turn on the air conditioner.
It's too hot for that.
Then you put the hose down the vent, and it blows down into the vent.
You'd have to duct tape it, though, because it's releasing heat.
Well, I put heavy things on top of it, and then it always works. Hey, man, if you're not an HVAC engineer, which I am not, that is a pretty good workaround.
Or enjoy a delicious popsicle. Bring the core temperature down.
Remember when the pint would be so hot and we would bitch and be like, we got to work on air conditioning, and they would tell us the story of how filthy McNasties they would give out popsicles, but then they would never give us any popsicles in the pint.
What kind of popsicle is that, Jay?
This is a local company called Sweet Sticks. Very hipster flavor, nectarine and tarragon.
There it is.
I was going to guess butterscotch based on the color of it.
Oh, they do have a pumpkin cheesecake in the cooler right now that I'm dying to try, but it's between the goalpost of Monday to Friday. I try to keep it tight, so at the weekend,
that makes sense. Let's get into our listener profile for today. Should I go with the next Twitter DM or the next Instagram DM? Someone tell me.
Ooh.
Somebody leading with a 10 out of 10. That's who I want to hear from.
I'm not sure if they left. Yeah, no, this one did not lead with if they're horny or not. But Bryce Sizo.
Whoa, hey, who said that?
Sorry, I know. And I'm the one who doesn't want to say it, but Bryce Sizo.
I said that
on Instagram.
I'm horny right now.
He's a plumber, which I respect. Bryce Sizo. Oh, yeah. He's a plumber. I respect that. I come from a family of plumbers. We've talked about this. But he's also taking online classes through Nate to get project management certification. Something interesting about Bryce, he's traveled to all corners of the world. He traveled to Thailand for a month when he was younger. There you go. We actually had someone else who mentioned that, and they mentioned that weird island you guys are always talking about.
The island of Lost.
I'm not
basically.
Sure. When he was younger, he's also been to Europe as well, Netherlands, Italy, Croatia. Of course, he's been doing all-inclusive in Mexico as well, which he loved. He started listening to the pod in January of 2019, which means we're coming up on 2 years of having Bryce Sizo as a listener. He's been following the nation for a lot longer, ever since he met Jay at an outdoor rink.
Finally, Bryce, you admit you know me.
What do you mean? He doesn't admit it normally?
Well, he was the one who praised you on his review. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's right. He knows you longest, but I'm his fave.
His favorite show moments are anytime Jay and Chalmers get heated, Or when we had Mr. Captain, as he put Sam Gagner on the pod. So those are his favorite moments.
He is Mr. Captain.
Recurring guest, Sam Gagner.
Recurring guest, Sam Gagner, yes. His favorite sports or hockey moments, as devastating as it was, he said it is the 06 Cup run. Also adds going to the World Juniors in Edmonton, Canada versus USA. I remember going to that Canada-USA game on New Year's Eve. That was unreal. Like, the LRT station was chanting the Team Canada goal song, which is Chelsea Dagger, which now has bad memories for Oilers fans after the series against the Hawks. But that Canada-USA game was great. And his go-to order at Oodle Noodle, Bryce Sizo, he likes butter chicken with a side order of green onion cakes to dip them in.
Bryce, yes!
Good man.
So there you go. There's our listener profile brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Shout out to Bryce Sizo. Great man.
Thanks for
us
listening to us, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yep. Speaking of social media, quite the social media beef going on with Logan Paul and Evander Kane. And I want to talk about this a little bit because I think hockey fans are being a little bit too cocky in this regard, and Evander Kane is as well, going out and being like, oh yeah, you beat up Nate Robinson? Well, I'll fight you now, and like I'll show you how tough hockey players are. Boxing is a little bit different than just like a hockey fight. So I think I think the hockey players who are like lining up to fight this guy, who I know he's a YouTuber and that comes off as soft, but I was watching some videos of him training and the dude's actually pretty jacked. Like,
isn't he a giant?
Yeah, like he's
6'5".
like 6'5". He's huge, man. And he like I said, he's a YouTuber podcaster who dedicates a significant amount of his time to just boxing and learning how to box and training. So I see Evander Kane like running his mouth being like, I'll show you a hockey player will put you in your place. And I'm kind of like, you know what, man? You might win. It might be a really good close fight, but like there's a chance you don't, bro. Like this guy's a little legit. A little.
Oh, come on. He's a YouTuber, podcaster / charity amateur boxer. Do you know a lot of NHLers use boxing as part of their training regimen?
For sure.
A guy like Evander Kane would probably do that because he's not afraid to chuck him. I would also argue that I would rather take a Logan Paul punch to the face than an Evander Kane punch to the face.
But that's not an educated statement because you don't know how hard this guy punches. Like he's boxed in the past. He trains to do this. Like I don't know. I just think that it's a little bit like, this isn't going to be like Evander Kane one punches him is kind of my point.
But Evander Kane he can't fight in this. He's under contract.
Yeah, that would be an interesting part as well. I'm not.
There's
I'm
no
not sure.
way. There's no way.
I bet you they could. They do. They take a lot of precautions. I think it's fine. But I'm telling you, like Logan Paul, unknown his athletic abilities. Evander Kane, known athlete.
Yeah.
You give that guy 3 months of training, he will mop the floor with Logan Paul.
And I suppose that's the other side too that I'm maybe neglecting is that Evander Kane would train and get ready for this, and as a professional athlete, he does have a huge head start. But like people are just going like he's gonna like mop the floor with him. Like you said, Bag Milk, he's a giant. Like Logan Paul's a big dude, and he like trains and he's like pretty bulky. Like I don't know.
I just feel like when a dude is that big, if he connects with one on the button, I could see Evander Kane going down. But in the reverse, I could see Evander Kane, who's a smaller guy than 6'6", still a big guy in his own right. Like Jay said, athletic. He probably does some boxing just for training. I could see him connecting with Logan Paul on the button and sending him down. So I don't know. I don't know anything about boxing other than it's very, very tiring.
Yeah.
Hey, Evander Kane has stepped up to Patrick Reeves. So is it Patrick Eves?
Reeves.
Ryan Reeves. Patrick Eves. Jesus. So Ryan Reeves. So I've got a lot of respect. This guy's got the gumption and the moxie to destroy a guy like Logan Paul in the ring.
And
trying to find out how tall he is here.
The second
he's 6'2".
Logan Paul's only 6'2"?
No, Evander Kane is.
So he's giving up 4 inches.
Yeah, which is significant. The other side of this that I wanted to get to is it kind of comes off as a little bit, what's the right word for this? Attention seeking here? Because like Evander Kane, there was a video that was going on Instagram yesterday of him being like, oh, Logan Paul, like you're trying to get me on your podcast. You're trying to use me for listeners and subscribers. Like I see what you're doing. And it's like, bro,
Logan, that's a bad take.
That's a terrible take. Logan Paul, you also need to remember, is more popular than any player in the NHL.
Logan Paul, I'm looking right now, has 22.6 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah. Like
This is all engineered, gentlemen. This is your classic engineered beef.
You think
it's
so?
everything is wrestling kind of thing.
I don't think 50 Cent and Kanye are going to go toe-to-toe, and Kanye's going to retire if he doesn't sell the most records. I doubt this is anything but engineered. They may fight, but none of this is a surprise to the other one.
No, I don't think Logan Paul knew who Evander Kane was until Evander Kane started going at him on Twitter.
But now
it might be, yeah.
Yeah, the machine will take over.
Every post that Logan Paul has on his YouTube page has got millions and millions of views.
That's why he lives in Calabasas and has massive automatic weapons at the side at all times. You see when his house got raided?
I heard it. Was that him or was that his brother? Because there's two of them.
Well, they live together, don't they?
Oh, really? I don't know very much about him.
Oh, but there was a photo of like their hot tub with like a Terminator gun next to it. Like, I don't know if I'd want to have that many likes on Facebook where people saw my face.
Anyways, I just wanted to get some of that off my chest. And I also...
Which NHLer, Tyler, do you think would have the absolute best chance of beating up Logan Paul?
Ryan Reeves might, hey?
Yeah, well, he's also a giant. He's a terrifying man.
Taylor Yamamoto?
I could see Yamo doing that, running through the legs.
Quick. Like a high kick. Kapow, bitch!
Yeah.
Cassian would be interesting, but again, he gives up a lot of height in that hypothetical fight. I think Reeves is probably the answer just because he's also a giant and the size is a little bit more on par there.
We're forgetting toughness. Like, these are hockey players who engage in the fighting element of hockey. These guys are already tough. So they could stand in there with this guy. Like, who's Jake Paul fought that's tough? Screech?
Well, Nate Robinson was a professional basketball player. Didn't he fight that
who
KSI
was
guy?
like a foot?
See, but here's another thing. For Evander Kane, I don't even know why I would entertain it, just in case there's the scenario where Logan Paul turns him into a meme, just like what happened with Robinson.
Yeah, and like that's where I'm saying like be cautious, and also it might not be like people. I saw some people being like, "There's a chance for the NHL to grow a little bit," and I'm like, no, Evander Kane boxing Jake or Logan Paul, whoever it is not going to grow the sport of hockey.
When they threw Joffrey Lupul out of the game,
how would it not draw the attention of the game? I'm sorry, I have to jump in there. How would it not draw attention towards the NHL?
It would draw attention, but it would not grow the game. Like, I don't think they're suddenly going to be an uptick in San Jose Sharks season ticket holders or like an uptick in ratings if Kane fights him. I just don't see that happening. Kane might gain some more followers. I'm sure he already has, but I don't think I don't think it grows the game in like a positive way or any way, really.
So 3 hours ago at 9:44 Mountain Standard Time, Evander Kane tweeted out crickets to Logan Paul. Didn't you say I'll do it? I promise the fight will not be going to the scorecards this time. So Evander Kane obviously feeling confident. If
this has to avoid his contract, man. When Joffrey Lupul, remember when he showed a photo of himself skiing after they said he was injured and couldn't be in it and shit? I remember talking to Gregor about it, and he's like, there's strict rules in NHL contracts what you're allowed to do and not do in the off season.
These guys train and spar for training.
Yeah, but there's no way they would let him be in an amateur boxing match under contract.
Yeah, but they wear the headgear. They do it's like Olympic level.
If you're not supposed to go skiing, how are you allowed to be in a fist fight?
The Lupul thing was because he was supposed to be on LTIR. But I I know what you're saying, Wanye. Like I think the Sharks would probably have a bit of an issue with this.
Of course.
It's all fake.
You know, yeah, who knows what's gonna happen? Anyways, I wanted to say that. Also, like,
just from a Sharks perspective, really quickly, I'm looking at Puckpedia.com, and Evander Kane is only in year 3 of a 7-year contract. So I could see the Sharks being like, whoa, pump the brakes on this amateur fight here, guy. Last thing you need is Logan Paul to come into the ring and rearrange your face in the middle of your contract where we're paying you $7 million a year.
But it won't happen.
You don't think it'll happen in general, or just you think that Evander Kane's got a better chance than we're giving him credit for?
Yes, Evander Kane. It is just a foregone conclusion that Evander Kane would whoop. Well, it is. I'll even put my money where my mouth is. I will bet
on a fight that won't happen
aggressively. Well, if it comes up, I will bet aggressively on Evander Kane. Probably knocking him out.
It will never come up. You're like talking about who would win a fist fight between Yoko Ono and Courtney Love.
Oh, I'd watch that. I'd bet on that.
Who'd you bet on?
Ooh,
Oh, I'm taking Courtney Love all day. She's absolutely insane.
yeah.
Although Yoko's scrappy. She's out there. She's doing those like scream art things at museums and stuff. Who knows what she's got going on?
Interesting. Okay, well, we got that out of the way. I just really wanted to talk about that a little bit. It was just an odd story that has been kind of popping up, and I don't think it's going to go away until either it happens or, like you kind of mentioned, Wanye, like the Sharks are going to step in and be like, "Hey, Evander, not a chance, buddy."
No, they're growing the game right now by all these American kids being like, "What's hockey?" and then away they go.
Logan Paul.
Evander Kane is fighting Logan Paul.
Evander Kane fighting with Logan Paul in November 2020 is the best press the NHL has had in 6 months.
Yeah, It's about the only press the NHL has had in a while since they came out with like the reverse retro jerseys. But other than that, like nothing has been going on in the league. A couple of NHL areas I wanted to talk about today. I want to get to like the NHL versus NHLPA debate fight that's going on, but also the story that's been floated out first by Friedman, then by LeBrun, about some teams, and the 4 Friedman mentioned were Pittsburgh, Boston, LA, and Anaheim, who want to play all of their home games outdoors next season. Jay is laughing.
Southern California, let's just put our science coats on here for a second and goggles. I know they played outdoor series games in LA.
Yeah.
Like I think at Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's one game.
That's one game. I bet you the reviews from the players was the ice was the worst they've ever played on. That would be silly.
It reminded me of when, and I loved the idea, but the practicality of it wouldn't have worked when they were talking about doing the season launch at Lake Louise.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would have had to do so much work on that ice to make it work and make it acceptable that it just, I can't imagine logistically that it would make much sense. Now, if they're trying to do an entire, all of their games, how does that work? Like Jay said, in California, you just have somebody 24/7 minding the melting ice.
Oh God. Like it would probably put a hole in the ozone right above the arena with how hard that ice plant have to work to keep some form of ice together.
So
where were the other cities, Tyler?
Boston and Pittsburgh were the two. And then I think LeBrun said, I don't have it in front of me, but I think he said there was like almost half a dozen. So a couple more teams might have even talked to the NHL about it and reached out. I think Nashville was maybe one of them as well. But teams were serious about it because they think if we play all our home games outside, we can go from having no fans or like 1,000 fans in our indoor stadium to having like 15,000 fans socially distanced at our local football stadium. So like revenue wise, it makes sense. The players will never, ever sign off on this.
It'd be great though. Just like, I want to follow it down the rabbit hole for a second. It'd be fun. It'd be so weird and embracing the weirdness that is this year that I would love to watch Connor do things at Commonwealth Stadium because that's what's going on. And then they're like, tonight, it's January 25th in Edmonton. It's minus 33 degrees with a wind chill of minus 58. Here's Connor McDavid dressed as a human parka.
So would you guys go if there were games at Commonwealth that you could go sit in the stands there and watch?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd go?
Yeah. I just want to go watch Oilers hockey.
I wouldn't. The sight lines aren't good. You're going to be in the freezing cold sitting so far away watching hockey that's not going to be as good a quality than if it was inside. Like, to me, it's kind of like, I hope this doesn't happen, actually.
Well, the likelihood of this happening is...
Yeah, Logan Paul will fight fucking...
Yeah.
What's his nuts?
Wanye's having...
Yeah, Wanye's having technical issues.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
I don't know. You've been filling your phone for a long time and making lots of noises, and then you talk, we can barely hear you.
Well, there you go. I apologize.
Oh, well, we got
to charge while talking.
That makes sense.
I don't mean to make noise.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but the fact that teams are even looking into this, like, I even think it's a bit of a bad, like, PR look, isn't it? To sit there and be like, no one's allowed to, it's not safe enough to watch our games inside. We're taking COVID seriously. Oh, but we're going to have these games outdoors so that we can make money off the people who will sit in a stadium and watch it. That's a little odd to me.
Well, I don't discount the idea. Like, there's a revenue issue that needs to be solved. So throw everything out there until something can kind of stick to help to solve this problem. Because really, that's this standstill that we're at with the players in the league. There's a revenue issue that's affecting both sides, and that's why this is, this season return is in jeopardy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm working on another random thoughts thing that I do for Weathers Nation on the weekends now. And I pulled a quote from Brian Burke that I thought was interesting about this, where he says, and I'm just going to read it. It's about a paragraph. He says, a GM sat across from me 2 weeks ago and says, if we play a 60-game schedule, we lose $60 million. If we don't play, I would lose only $15 million. Therefore, it's better for us just to not play. Brian Burke says, no, I don't think that's it at all. If you think about it long term, what is a franchise worth that's not playing anything? Operationally, how do you allocate those losses? I don't know. But you're going to lose money playing with no fans or socially distanced fans. It's going to be fine when we get a vaccine, but in my mind, to not play would be absolutely catastrophic for the NHL. So the players will have to figure out what's the biggest haircut they can live with. But in my mind, if we don't play, then you're talking about a catastrophic and devastating effect on the upcoming TV deal, specifically in the U.S. So maybe that's what it is, Tyler. They're just trying to get creative and find ways to get back on the ice that at least tries to make some sense, because these guys don't become NHL owners by happily losing $60 million in a year.
They aren't dummies.
Maybe they're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, I see where that GM's coming from, where it's like, would we rather lose 60 or 15? Well, that's a pretty easy business decision to make in the short term. But I think Burke's point is a good one, where if you disappear for a year, how much less is that next TV contract going to be? Is that going to be enough over the next decade to offset it? Like, it's short-term pain for long-term gain in a sense. And I know it's easy for me to sit here and say that when I'm not the one losing $45 million. Right?
Are you sure you're not going to lose $45 million next year?
You might, Tyler.
If I had $45 million to lose, I'm going to be honest, I might not be on the podcast.
Have you added it up?
I feel like if there's no NHL season, I would lose my version of $45 million.
Which is your sanity?
Yeah, and probably some shekels as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I still truly believe that we're going to get to watch hockey. They got to figure out how it's going to work for both sides. And the tough part is that they just signed the CBA extension in July or whatever. But I think Wanye said it on Monday's episode. Well, a lot has changed in the 4 months since that document was signed. People are nothing's gotten better.
I understand both sides, and both sides are allowed to dig in and be pissed, but like there's just an uncontrollable reality where I just think they just have to find a common ground and just get a version of this season done.
After listening to Bettman yesterday and kind of what he had to say, I totally understand where the owners are coming from now. Like, I get their side of it so much more because the revenue is going to be split 50-50. That's the CBA. That's the deal. So the longer this goes on with, if the players want to take, as Frank Saravalli pointed out to me today, like 200% of the money this year, well, then all that's going to happen is over the next 6 years, they have to slowly pay it back. So the players have a decision to make. Do they want short-term gain for long-term pain or long-term gain and short-term pain? And to me, if they want the season to start smoothly, they gotta take a bit of a loss short-term, like the owners are, to make sure that the league and player salaries can be in a better spot long-term.
I'm also just guessing. I have no idea. But I would also imagine the NHLPA is getting a lot of pressure from the guys who are not Connor McDavid that are making league minimum. And those guys, they want to go. So they just need to figure out how that's going to look, I think. I don't know.
I think there's something to be said about the Connor McDavids and all that. Their money's coming. They know they're going to get it now or later. I think where there might be some pushback is in the guys who might not be in the league in 3-4 years, 5 years, because they're sitting there going, why do I have to give up money now so that the guys in 5 years can benefit from it? I want my money now. But that's where the union should step up.
But they're deferring. They're deferring the money. They're not getting that money. They're deferring it. So for those guys, that's actually better. It gives them more income certainty for a longer period of time after retirement. That's a nice transitional nugget to have after you retire, knowing that you're still going to get some of your playing salary for a few years to kind of allow you land softer on your feet. If you're one of those league minimum guys that still has to find a second career after hockey and all that stuff. I'm not saying like that. Like that's me with the rose-colored glasses on. Of course.
I think the deferral is more complicated than that, though. I think it's something where you're deferring salary now to make escrow easier in the future. I might be totally wrong with that, though.
I wonder what
we should have Hart on the podcast.
Absolutely, because Hart's been tweeting about what this means and like trying to make sense of it for stupid people like me, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah,
Bring him on ON Radio to explain this.
Okay. And Hart is the founder of Puckpedia.
Yes, Hart Levine from Puckpedia.
I wonder where it's like how close it is to a point where I'm just making up numbers now, where it's the owners say to the players something like, "All right, well, do you want 50% of something right now or 100% of nothing?"
What about the third option, Bag Milk? 93% of everything.
Yeah, I would take the new. I call that the nude deal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Also, I wonder how much just general day-to-day this is all hanging up on. Like, I wonder if Ethan Bear's got a contract or at least the parameters of a contract. If I'm him, if I'm his agent, I'm not signing shit until I know what this looks like.
Yeah, me too.
And I think it was Tom Grant the other day tweeted that there's been no real contract movement or any housekeeping done in about a month. So this is putting them behind in so many different ways.
This would be a good way to lock in Ethan Bear to a lower price contract and just signing bonus the shit out of it, so he's not affected by anything that could happen for this season. It might be able to get like a 2 or 3 year kind of team friendly deal structured with heavy signing bonus. Thoughts?
I don't know if that works. Like, again, I don't know the ins and outs of this with the way the deferrals work enough to know if he sits there and takes a $3 million signing bonus right now and then plays on like $700,000 in salary, does he actually only have to give back 10% of the $7,000, or would he have to cut a check and give back money? Or like, I don't know, man. It's so confusing. I like the point. We need Hard on. I think maybe tomorrow on ONR we'll do that.
So a couple weeks ago on Oilers Nation Radio, we were doing our Skip the Dishes ad, and I feel like I invented the beef and shed Big Mac, Jay, which is 2 beef and sheds stacked on top of each other. Top beef and shed, you remove the bottom bun and you stack them. Well, I see that guy Mike M on Twitter has lived my dream by stacking 2 beef and sheds on top of each other, and it looks incredible. Wow. I know that has nothing to do with anything, but I want to confirm that this looks as delicious as I always imagined it would.
You send that to your MTech to post. That's gold.
I am. Coming out right now.
All right, I will get
2
that
beef
up.
and sheds stacked on top of each other. That is the dream.
That's intense.
That is a solution to your CBA problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have they tried taking 2 CBAs and stacking them on top of each other?
Yes.
Now we're thinking.
Use Logan Paul's YouTube check as the sandwich.
If the NHL hired Logan Paul to be a content creator, that might help a little bit.
If they could get Evander Kane to fight Logan Paul and make a pay-per-view, that might solve the issue.
Well, all of Logan Paul's fights are pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Remember, which one of them had a fake wedding? And all these people signed up, and then the wedding devolved into a staged brawl between the 2 bridal parties.
What?
That's pretty funny.
And the whole thing was fake. It was all pay-per-view, and they made millions.
Damn.
Those Paul boys.
That's good.
Yeah, they know how to monetize. That's about the only level of respect I'll give them.
Yeah, me too, actually. That's a good point as well. I wanted to talk about them, but now I'm kind of like, I feel like I almost spent too much time talking about them.
Oh, they're douchebags.
I'm taking off my shoes. I'm so hot.
Pants are next. I can see it. I didn't see Logan Paul coming up with a roast beef and shed Big Mac.
Nope.
Did you, Tyler?
Nope, but have you monetized it?
Not yet. I will.
We're trying.
As soon as Arby's understands what we're doing.
Arby's, understand the marketing value we can provide you at the nation.
One person just went to your restaurant as a result of bag milk.
Oh, my God.
Starts with 1.
Yeah.
Starts with 1. We're going to be joined by Scott Hastings from OddsShark in about 10, 15 minutes, around that range there. I got some good betting questions for Mr. Hastings. Before we get to that, I should tell you a little bit more about our friends at Twig & Berries, because I love them. And they did some great Black Friday deals. I was talking to Jess Jackson from Twig & Berries today because we work at the same building in the morning. And she asked me, Tyler, how are you? How's your underwear? And then we both acknowledged that that's a bit of an odd question to just ask a coworker. But I said, Jess, the underwear is fantastic. I love the Nutsack underwear. Very comfortable. Mine's in the dryer right now. which means I'll have it fresh for the weekend because I want to look good on the weekends. And you can too by heading over to our friends at twigandberries.ca. And you can save some money if you use the promo code NATION15. Not just underwear, not just socks. They got some nice flannels. They also have that new ODR line of clothing, which I think is pretty sweet as well. So you can check that all out there. If I've plugged this now on like 5 straight podcasts, but I'm going to do it again. If you're looking to support local when you do your Christmas shopping, Twig and Berries is the spot to do it. They have their holiday gift box. It's over $175 worth of stuff for $150. You get a wallet, you get underwear, you get a hoodie, you get a tumbler, you get socks, bunch of good stuff. They also have a nice section on their website called Stocking Stuffers, where they have some, items that don't quite cost as much, but they're good, like it says, stocking stuffers. So they got some toques, some Titleist golf balls with the Twig and Berry branding on them, which is pretty sweet as well. A tumbler, some mustache socks, a bunch of great stuff. Check them out, twigandberries.ca. Promo code NATION15. Let's go.
I would also ask that if you are going to order from twigandberries.ca over the holiday season, in the special instructions for the seller that you get at your checkout, let them know your favorite berry.
Strawberry.
Berry Manilow.
Saskatoon berry.
Berry Bonds.
Berry Melrose.
Wow.
See? This is all we're already working. Twig and Berries, you're welcome.
Drew Barrymore?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
I'm a big fan of raspberries in my yogurt in the morning. That's a good breakfast.
I'm coming back to raspberry jam. I'm now like...
Okay.
Why'd you get away from it? The seeds?
I don't know. I went on this like anti-raspberry kick for a little while, even though if I saw them in the wild, I would eat them, but not the low ones because those have been peed on, the higher ones. But yeah, I've been off, but now it's like if I'm going PB&J, and I'm in this long like peanut butter Twitter thread between Dangerous Suede and Surveyor Bread at the moment right now. Anyways, that's a discussion for later. That the official jam of PB&J has to be raspberry jam.
I think it's strawberry.
No. Put it in the poll, man. I bet you're wrong. Just like you're wrong that Jake Paul beat up Evander Kane.
Would
raspberry jam is the Evander Kane of celebrity amateur boxing.
Underappreciated, always delicious.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And will beat up Jake Paul.
Mm-hmm. Raspberry jam?
Raspberry jam.
You know what? This has actually got me a hankering for some raspberry jam. I've only got blueberry in my fridge right now, and I'm kind of over it.
Blueberry jam? Where are you from?
I don't know. I was trying something new.
Grape jam isn't really a thing too much anymore, is it?
Well, if you don't go grape jam, you got to go grape jelly.
What's the fucking difference?
Well, you're Ramchuck. There is a complete difference. Okay. One somewhat resembles the fruit it came from, and one is just like a different, sweeter version of Jell-O.
From finecooking.com, jelly is a clear fruit spread made from cooked fruit, juice, and sugar, and possibly pectin, which helps it gel and thicken. Jam is a thick spread made from fruit juice, chopped, crushed, or pureed fruit, and sugar. Pectin may also be added to help it gel.
That sounded like the same thing.
Jams are usually looser than jellies.
Exactly.
What?
Finecooking.com.
I don't know.
Now you know, Tyler.
Grape jelly, greater than grape, better than grape jam. Graper than grape jam.
How Stuff Works says the difference between jam and jelly is the difference between the spreads comes in the form that the fruit takes. In jelly, the fruit comes in the form of fruit juice. In jam, the fruit comes in the form of fruit pulp or crushed fruit.
That makes a little bit more sense to me then.
There you go.
So
see?
Jam,
more fruit.
Like what you kind of said, I guess, Jay, like it's just a healthier version to go with jam in a way. Maybe?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would also suggest, Tyler, you bring back grape soda when you get a chance. Delicious if you haven't had it in a while.
Grape soda is delicious. A grape crush float, amazing.
Grape crush
You mentioned
float?
Danger Suede? That would be delicious. I love a float. You mentioned Danger Suede. I got to say, that rum he gave me, I have never felt classier than when I had this fancy boy rum swirling around with a couple of cubes in my glass. It's not how I normally ingest rum. I will admit he did call me the party boy or whatever, drinking rum and cokes, but I got to say I felt like a classy gentleman, and it was lovely. Thank you, Danger Suede.
He got me amaretto and Zambuca. The amaretto is delicious. The Zambuca, you ready for this, guys? This is a heartwarming tale. My dad loves Zambuca, so I texted my dad, and I said, hey, when we finally get to hang out again, I'll bring it over. We'll have a shot. And he said, okay. Oh no, he
and
said
then you said
no. I told him a
"Take care,
listener brought
Dad."
it. I told him a listener brought it for me, and he said, "Okay, that's nice of him." That was the text I got back.
And then you said, "Good talk, Dad." And then he texted back, "Tyler, every time you text me, my phone buzzes in my pocket." And you said, "All right, Dad." You went, "Tyler."
It's just very, very like surgical.
I had a weird text exchange with my dad on Sunday, and he texted me on Sunday and he said, "What did you do today? Watch football?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Just wondering."
Oh, that's nice.
I said, "What did you do today?" And he said, "Worked on the kitchen." Him and my mom are renovating their kitchen. They're almost done. So that's been the big project for them. So that's the most recent text exchange with my dad. Yeah. So there's an update on that part of my life, I guess. But we're excited. I'm excited to bring the Zambuca to him. So thanks, Dangerous Wade.
Oh, I love a good Yaremchuk father exchange tale.
Yeah, they're always the exact same, more or less.
What Hallmark writes about in all of their cards, just very, very surgical, cold exchanges between father and son.
Surgical. All right. We still got like 5-ish minutes here until I'm going to bring in Scott Hastings from OddsShark. Anything you guys have to get off your chest?
I wonder who he'd bet on, Logan Paul or Evander Kane. We're going to ask him.
That's a great question.
Yeah, we're going to ask him.
We can get a stake on this. Wanye, anything you want to get off your chest from this week?
No, I'm so sorry. I was making noise on my phone, man. I do phone calls all the way till the show starts, and I just always have a dead battery.
You're a busy man.
No.
Oh.
I just call my mom 800 times on Mondays and Friday mornings and say, "Are you sure I'm your favorite?"
Actually, my dad's calling me right now, Tyler. I assume it's to also ask me what I did on Sunday.
You watched football. Bring him on the pod.
Go, "Are you sure I'm your favorite?"
Bring him on the pod. Wouldn't that be an exciting episode if we had Bagged Milk's dad on the pod?
We can talk to him about being an apiarist.
Oh, so many bee questions.
He beheads people with swords.
That's exactly right.
I'll tell you, I'm living the dream this December. I've subscribed to 2 advent calendars, beer advent calendars. It's December's been off to a good start so far.
You're subscribed?
Yeah, I've got 2 beer advent calendars in my fridge.
You have them in your fridge. Okay. When you said subscribed, I'm led to believe it's like the coffee club where it gets dropped off at your house.
If you're being honest though, Jay, is there like a bunch of the beers that are just shit? I'm not a big craft beer guy, and I find some of them to be a real struggle.
Well, there's certain types I don't like, but I like exploring and trying new ones and like getting a better understanding of the ones I like and going deeper on those and be introduced to new versions of that, and like even still enduring the ones I don't and try to find out why I should try to like them, or like form a deeper hatred towards them. Like I just love the adventure because these are mostly they try to curate them so they're like really like small independent craft brewers like across Canada. So you get introduced to some neat companies, but also like for me, I love packaging and can design and all that. So that's also fun and part of the journey. One of the ones I'm subscribed to, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with a sheet with an explanation of each beer and a WhatsApp group chat for everyone who's part of the Advent calendar. And
great.
It's a community, so we all talk about the beer in the WhatsApp chat. It's actually quite adorable.
That actually is
As
pretty cool.
you were talking about that, Jay, we just got talking about beers. This is very wonderful timing. We just got a text from one Joshua Park with a quarantine gun guy shotgunning video that we can put up today. I was talking to Josh about it yesterday. He was having some issues pulling. He was only seeing a black screen for some reason, so he spent a little bit of time figuring it out. But I am looking at a quarantine gun guy shotgun video from Josh Park here in my email or in my text.
Cool.
Amazing.
I will post that on our Instagram. I got that. I got a picture of the double beef and cheddar to post. Very busy. Surveyor Brett, director of meme content, has been hitting us with the good stuff all week. Did you see the one I posted today? The golden snitch?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. He He DM'd me that, and I said, you know what? This is perfect because you tried to rat him out on the listener profile, saying that he was making all this stuff at work, and I was like, no, he's doing this at his own time, in the comfort of his garage.
I like the one he sent me one today of Wanye drinking in dog patch.
Yeah, he sent me that also. It is great. I'll put that in the group text.
There's a sign on the wall that says Wanye, like, this guy's only allowed to have 3 drinks.
Yeah. I was talking about that in the comments yesterday.
Yeah.
I was showing a rendering of dog patch, and I said what you don't see is the sign that says "Do not serve him more than 2 drinks." Like Fred Hunt.
Yeah.
Surveyor Brett picks up all these details. That's why he's the director of meme content.
He had a funny, I don't know if he posted this or if it was just a DM, but I guess he got like recognized by someone. Like he was doing a thing on his job and someone was like, wait, are you the Surveyor Brett? And he responded, he said he responded like, maybe, which is hilarious, man. That guy.
Oh, good for him.
Classic Brett.
I like it.
We were talking about beer advent calendars. I have my own beer advent calendar, but it's just 24 Nation beers, and I drink one every night.
Well, I was actually thinking we should have launched the Nation Beer Advent Calendar and just put a bow on a flat of beer, or just drawn one through 24.
Yeah, just take a felt and write the numbers on top of the can.
Yeah.
Or you could have done like, a Christmas themed can design. Maybe that's probably a lot of work. It's probably more work. So never mind.
I wonder what that would look like for next year to come up with like just a box design where every day is a delicious Nation beer that pops out of a little window.
Beer, pulling it out.
I've got ideas because I'm subscribed to 2 Advent calendars.
There you go. You're doing market research.
Market research. Write it off.
Write it all off. All right. It's time to transition a little bit here on the podcast because we're going to be joined by our friend Scott Hastings in just a minute here. I'm disappointed, though. No Chalmers yet. This is the second or third straight podcast where Chalmers hasn't shown up?
Did he lose on his pick'em again?
He did. And
he might be
he's ducking?
That was a tough loss for him, too, on his pick'em. KC, they won by 3, and he had a -3.5. Oof, that's a rough one. So Chalmers is down to 5-7-0 in our pick'em. I'm also 5-7-0. Jay, you lost. You're 3-8-1. Bag Milk, you won.
What was my pick?
You were Arizona -1.5.
Bag Milk did what?
You won, Bag Milk. You're 8-4 this year.
That's right. I am a football professional.
And Scott Hastings, when I texted him and was like, hey, man, you joining the pod today? Like, you good to go? He was like, I'm surprised you want me on after I lost to Bag Milk in the pick'em.
That's right. He did. He tried to fade Bag Milk, and it didn't work.
It did not work at all.
Soon will be working for OddsShark as a betting expert to help you bet better.
Honestly, with that record, you 100% could. Like, that's professional gambler territory, the stuff you're doing right now.
You're welcome.
All right.
I also hit my first parlay. Scott's going to be excited about it.
Wanye, we will talk to you Monday. We're trading. Unless you want to stick around. You got some betting questions for Scott Hastings?
No.
You thought about it, though.
I'm like, what sports are even playing right now? Like, if the questions could be so elementary, I'd say. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Well, we are about to bring in our friend Scott Hastings from OddsShark.com. OddsShark.com, your spot for all the sports betting information you need. They got their supercomputer up there, which will certainly help you make bets as well. Is Scott in the call? Oh, I didn't even hit the button. That's my bad, guys. I didn't add Scott Hastings in. But everything you need, you go there. They got articles from their experts, all that good stuff. Scott's
you could bet on Team Secret versus Virtuous Pro in esports.
Oh, esports.
Live esports right now.
There he is.
Like I said, OddsShark has everything. All right, we're now joined by Scott Hastings from OddsShark and weekly chat here. And Scott, we like getting your take on all the nonsense that we talk about. We were talking about the Logan Paul Evander Kane fight. If this fight were to happen, who would be the favorite in this one? Who would you be betting on?
Yeah, so there is actually a betting line out here, and Logan Paul -270, Evander Kane +180.
So this is hilarious because, Scott, before you jumped in, I personally think that Logan Paul can do it. He's a huge human being. But Jay, you are very much Team Evander Kane.
I've got Canadian hockey player bias, and yeah, this is the way you'll on my Wikipedia page or on my tombstone, it'll say this is how Jay got rich, betting on Evander Kane on this fight.
Yeah. And blew it on Mike Tyson's next fight against Evander Holyfield. The Paul brothers are tough, though, because Logan Paul is a state champion wrestler. So these guys have been training in somewhat of combat sports, if you will, for a while. His brother Jake as well. And if you can stick to the jab and not rush into any attacks, if you stay composed and work behind your jab, you can win any of these white-collar celebrity matches. So it's just a matter of Evander Kane is probably boxed in his own right. So he's not one of these Nate Robinson types or KSI, who's just a YouTuber. Nate Robinson, who looked like he had never been in a boxing ring in his life. Evander Kane is probably boxed in the offseason. So I think there's definitely value at plus 180. The size would be interesting for me.
Yeah, I mean, Paul had like a foot on Nate Robinson, so it would be closer if he fought Evander Kane, but still, like that height difference is significant.
Yeah, and of course the reach as well.
Yeah.
Typically, the taller man will have a longer reach as well. But again, Evander Kane I think he would be more competitive than Nate Robinson, absolutely, hands down, just because he's fought in the NHL. Most of the fighters in the NHL have had some boxing experience off ice. Even, when I was in university, there was a player for us that, even though you're not allowed to fight in the CIS, he was boxing pregame off ice, just warming up. In the event that all hell broke loose, he's going to make sure he landed heavy.
I love that.
Respect.
Scott, let's dig into the NFL here. Get your take on a few Week 13
you're
things.
Chuck. I've got to keep it to the nonsense for one more question.
Okay, one more. Go.
We always got to keep Scott in the silly and the topics that we talk about in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's two questions, all in the same subject. What do you prefer, jam or jelly? And when you answer with the right answer, which is better be jam, what's your favorite jam? What's your favorite berry jam?
Yeah,
that's easy. So jam for sure. Jam's definitely the way to go, and it's raspberry jam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Scott pulling that out of nowhere. That was Jay's. He was pitching raspberry very hard on this podcast.
Boom. Yeah,
Excellent.
raspberry
Thank
jam's where it's definitely at.
All right.
Good for you.
Is that all the
I feel
nonsense we
I feel
got?
vindicated. Yeah, I know. I think it's fair.
Also, if you could, Tyler, if you could just, before we get into the NFL talk, if you could just relive what happened when you asked Scott if he was jumping on today's podcast, please.
I said, hey, Scott, you good for the normal time? And I don't have it right in front of me here. Oh, wait, yes, I do. Scott said, surprised you want me back after losing to bagged milk.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, there you go. You can put that one on your tombstone, too.
Thank you. I'm going to print that text off and hang it up in the office.
All right. Okay, now we got the nonsense out of the way, and I can get to my questions. Before we get to Week 13, Scott, I have my own personal beef from Week 12. I now hate the Vegas Raiders. They've screwed me too many times this year. I bet against them whenever they play KC and they cover the spread or they win. I bet on them in a great matchup against the Falcons, and they don't. Like, Nathan Peterman had to come into that game, man. So I cannot stand the Raiders right now, but the D-Gen in me looks at Vegas -8 against the New York Jets, and I'm like, that's an overreaction. They should win by 8. I guess the question I want to ask before we get into that matchup is there a team this year that you just cannot put your finger on, that you always seem to be on the wrong side of?
Apparently the Jets. The Jets have killed me. There's been a few spots where I thought they might be more competitive. I think a few weeks ago I took them in an over in one of their matchups. I can't remember who they were playing. They completely laid an egg, so the Jets are dead to me. Vegas has been really tough, but I've been curiously on them pretty good. Trying to look through the teams here that might have given me some issues. Pittsburgh's been another one that have laid a few duds for me where I thought they might come out a little more guns a-blazing and somewhat fell flat for me.
Interesting stuff. That matchup, though, Raiders-Jets, is that a spot where you think the Raiders are a good bet there, or is this maybe the one where the Jets do keep it close?
Well, yeah, I can't give you a direction on this one. The Jets are my kryptonite. They're so bad, but then they can have games where they somewhat look capable. When they played New England there on that Monday nighter, they looked like a team that could win one game this year. And then last week against Miami, they looked like they should not. New York should just implode as a state, although they play in New Jersey. But they looked absolutely horrendous. And the Raiders, Derek Carr, you basically, your grievances there for the Raiders is Derek Carr embodied, because he just one of these guys that, yeah, maybe sometimes he'll put up 40 on the board, but then other times his decision making is atrocious. So he can quickly end a bet for you early in a game where you just know that he's off his game and it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
So in my fantasy week this week, we had Joe Burrow, so we had to take him out, and Derek Carr was like the suggested by many kind of the things I follow QB to start, and single-handedly lost me my match. All he had to do was get like 5 fantasy points, just like 5.
Did he finish with positive points?
Yes, he did. Point.
Oh boy.
There you go.
Yeah, at least it wasn't negative points, I guess.
And I lost my match by 3 points.
Ooh.
Scott, looking at this week coming up, a few different over-unders that have sort of grabbed my attention here. The Lions taking on the Bears, like that total set at 45. I don't know if either of those teams are going to be able to particularly get their offenses going. And Saints Falcons, they always seem to be a high scoring matchup. That total's also only set at 45.5. Any over-under reads you like this week? And have there been any teams who have recently been on a bit of a tear, hitting either the over or maybe their games are hitting the under consistently?
Yeah, so one of the teams that I think I've seen it and I've even bet it, but I haven't consciously picked up on it. The Titans, 7-2-2 on the over this year. Absolutely lighting it on fire. And it makes sense. Their teams, it's funny, if you watch any of the Tennessee games, it seems that teams want to get up on them early in the first half because they're afraid that if Tennessee gets any sort of lead, that they're just going to give the ball to Derrick Henry and good luck, your game's over. Regardless if they get up or not, they're still giving the ball to Derrick Henry, and Tennessee's still putting the points on the board, whether it happens in the first half or second half. So Tennessee's been a tremendous over that I guarantee I've bet on at some point this year and just haven't picked up on it. And on the under side of things, the Rams are the number one under team, 3-8. So 8 unders, 3 overs this year. So that sort of makes sense too with the defense they possess. And then Jared Goff just being a whatever quarterback, in my opinion. As far as this week, two games, I actually have 2 over unders, I guess I should say, that I am looking forward to. And the first one is that New Orleans Atlanta game, and that total is too low for me. And it's been going down too. It opened at 46, now at 45.5, as you mentioned. So I might hold off and see if that drops rating, down even another point to 45 or 44.5 even. But I like the over in that one. I think a lot of people are worried about Taysom Hill, and he can do enough to put some points on the board. And Atlanta has shown no problem putting up the offense. So I like the over in that one. And then the under I like this week is the atrocious Cincinnati and Miami game. I thought Miami looked just as bad as the Jets last week. They just managed to get lucky on a couple long drives and put points on the board. Whereas the Bengals, I don't know if they get 10 points this week. They're really bad without Burrow. So I like the under in that one.
Interesting stuff. If no one else has any other questions on the slate this weekend in the NFL, I think we can move on to our picks for the week here. Chalmers is not on the podcast, so I'll have to text him to get his pick. But I'll let you go first here, Jay, before we get to myself, then Bag Milk, and then to Scott Hastings, our expert. But Jay, where are you going for your pick this week?
Okay. I always have to mention my Brownies. They're +6 against Tennessee. So I wish them the best. I'm not saying pick that one, but I'm sending them good vibes. Big game this weekend as they on their drive for the playoffs. Here's the thing. I believe in the phenomenon of your team having some kind of window of lighting it up after you fire your coach. So the fact that the Detroit Lions are +3, Matty Stafford is going to be slinging that fucking ball and just decimating the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
Take them +3, take them money line, and let's fucking go.
All right. I'll go next with my pick since I am next to Jay in the standings here for our season. Just for the record, by the way, for us as a group, we're 21-26-1 on the year. Bag Milk is obviously leading the way. He's our MVP at
Thank
a
you.
total of 8-4. I always rip Jay for just taking his team over and over and over again. And I took the Bills last week, paid off -5.5 thanks to some goal line foolery from the LA Chargers at the end. I'm going right back to the Bills. Monday night, -2. I know they're traveling out to go play San Francisco, who's playing in Arizona Stadium. But to me, that even eliminates there's not a lot of home field advantage, I guess, with no crowd. So it's not really much of a factor. But I just look at this Bills team as being too good to not beat a banged-up Niners team by more than 2 points. So I'm going Buffalo -2 is my pick. Before we get to Scott, Mr. Bagged Milk, where are you going?
I'm going to go with a team I haven't picked yet. At least I don't remember picking them yet. I'm going to go Green Bay over Philly. Green Bay's 4-1 at home. I think this is an easy one for me at 8.5.
Green
I
Bay.
like it. I feel very confident.
Those Eagles. Did you guys watch any of their filth last week? They are horrendous. They are very
so bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
Like it was almost painful to watch. As bad as the Jets were, the Eagles were probably just right on par with them.
Scott, what's your take on Carson Wentz? Like, for me, I watched that game, and there's a part of me that feels for Carson Wentz because he doesn't have a lot of good targets. His line in front of him is garbage this year, and he's not made good decisions. He's made some terrible decisions. But even on that interception where he threw it right into the end zone right at the guy, when you see the QB view, like, part of me wonders if Goddard ran the wrong route, because if he would have turned the other way, that would have been right in Goddard's hands. Are you anti-Carson Wentz, or do you feel for him a little bit?
Well, once again, you're asking a Dallas fan how I talk with the Eagles, and I've never been a fan of Wentz. I thought he had the one good year, and then he saw a backup quarterback come in and win the Super Bowl and win Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows how talented the team was. I don't know if that was anything on Wentz, and since then, Wentz has looked trash. And I thought even that year that he didn't look that good. He was getting a little bit of luck surrounded by a good team, and I can't wait for Jalen Hurts to take over the helm because I have never really thought Carson Wentz was the guy. So I also like that they gave up on Nick Foles and paid him the money, and as a Dallas fan, that makes me laugh.
Okay, let's get to your picks for the week here. Last week you went 1-2, so not a great week after you went 3-0 the week before, but your record so far when you give us picks is outstanding. You're 13-8. Where are you going this week, Scott?
Yeah. Well, we need to bounce back because that was embarrassing, especially losing the Bag Milk. And as much as I would like to counter him with the Eagles and get revenge, I'm not going to do that. And you guys have taken off two of my picks, Detroit and Buffalo. I liked both of those, so put me in a precarious position. But I will go with that under 42 with the Bengals and Dolphins. Again, I think if it goes over, Miami scores 43 points. That's the only way it's going over because I think this Bengals team is in a bit of a disaster mode. Mixon probably not going to play the rest of the year either. And then I'm going to go with Jacksonville plus 9.5 at Minnesota. I just think that Minnesota is just this team that they're not going to blow anyone out of the water. Maybe Dallas or anyone in the NFC East, but traditionally they're not going to blow anyone out of the water. Jacksonville, very scrappy team, so I'll take them plus 9.5. And let's see here. I guess we'll go with the Rams, 2.5 point favorites on the road at Arizona. I look for them to have a little bit of a bounce back game from last week. Aaron Donald should get all over Kyler Murray. And yeah, I guess I really like that the Rams are starting to use Cam Akers more often. I thought he was one of the best running backs in college football last year with Florida State. So look for him to be more involved in the Rams to cruise to victory in that one.
All right, so to recap our picks here, Jay is going Detroit plus 3. He thinks they're going to get the bump after firing Matt Patricia. I'm going Buffalo -2 on Monday Night Football. Green Bay -8.5 is Bag Milk's pick. And our expert Scott Hastings. Cincinnati, Miami under 42. Jacksonville plus 9.5. And the LA Rams plus 2.5. Scott, as always, man, appreciate your time.
-2.5. Good luck, fellas, and stay safe.
There you go.
They're the favorite this week. Take care, guys.
There you go. That's Scott Hastings from OddsShark joining us on the Real Life Podcast. And all right, that's going to do it for another episode here as well. Bag Milk, good luck. Good luck this weekend with your degeneracy. And we'll talk to you again. I guess we'll talk on Friday.
Apparently, it's you guys that need the good luck because I just know what I'm doing.
That's a fantastic point as well. As always, our podcast brought to you by Oodle Noodle. 14 locations in Edmonton. Location number 15 is popping up as well out in Fort Sask. And our friends at Twig and Berries, they're your spot to get your holiday gift shopping done for the everyday man. It's some great gear. It's good local product as well. Check them out, twigandberries.ca. Use the promo code Nation15. Boys, Jay, you have a good weekend. Like I said, Beg Milk. We'll talk tomorrow with Oilers Nation Radio.
Later.
All right. Episode 236 of the Real Life Podcast is over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.